on, Gridiron fans? I am Grid-ironGuy, and this is your Week 2 matchups reviewed. I want to get started with Vikings-Colts. Man, this was an ugly game for the Vikings. The Colts had a great game. All around, good defense. Phillip Rivers played well, even though he did throw a pick, per usual. Jonathan Taylor ran the ball all day long. 26 carries, 101 yards, 1 touchdown. They just kept giving it to him. Basically, the Colts got ahead and played keep away. The Vikings didn't stand a chance. The Vikings constantly shot themselves in the foot. Their wide receivers didn't catch a pass. I mean, they caught 11 passes. Kirk Cousins was 11 of 26 for 113 yards and 3 interceptions. No touchdowns. 3 interceptions. One of those interceptions was a garbage pick right before halftime when they tried to throw a Hail Mary. Got picked off. So we could throw one of those out, but still, he threw 2 interceptions, had no touchdowns, and only 113 yards. That is not good. That's not going to get it done, everybody. No way. No way. Vikings defense also could not stop the run. Just because Jonathan Taylor had 101 yards doesn't mean that there was 2 other backs that also ran the ball. They had like 170 yards rushing. They destroyed that defense, which is supposed to be a top 10 defense. I don't think so. Not after what I've seen in the last 2 weeks. Aaron Jones ran against them last week. So I don't think they can stop the run. They cannot stop the run. Now, let's talk about that offense. Wide receivers on that offense dropped ball after ball after ball. Even Adam Thielen dropped multiple passes. When Kirk Cousins was getting it to them, half the time he had bad throws. Too low, too high, off-centered, behind them. Now, whatever good passes there were, the wide receivers weren't getting separation. So then the defense was stepping in there and getting, batted balls. And one of them attributed to an interception. So, all in all, not a good game for the Vikings. Not a good start. Started out 0-2. In that division, it's going to be tough. If they don't figure it out now and quick, they're going to be looking up at the Packers and probably even the Bears. Sorry to say it, but probably even the Bears. And maybe even the Lions, depending on how bad it gets. But if they don't figure it out, they're going to be picking in the top 10 next year for sure. The time of possession on this game was 38 minutes, 25 seconds for the Colts. Basically, they just got the lead, and they just ran the ball, and they finished with 4 touchdowns, 28 points. So, the Vikings had 21 minutes and 35 seconds of time of possession. You can't win a football game that way. You just can't. Maybe if you're scoring quick touchdowns, maybe you score a bunch of quick touchdowns and the other team's running the ball a lot and they're running the ball down the field and they're kicking field goals maybe. Maybe you can win a game with that kind of time of possession. But not when the game went the way it did. I don't have much more to say about the Vikings. They're just not playing up to snuff and they're not playing up to their potential. This is a team who most people were saying should be in the playoffs this year. Definitely snagging a wild card, if not winning that division. Now they got an 0-2 start. It's not easy to make the playoffs after starting 0-2. It's not. The history's against you there. So let's move on. let's talk about Seahawks Patriots. Seahawks Patriots was a good game. When I watched this game, it felt like a playoff game. It felt like the magnitude of this game just felt big. You know? You got Cam Newton on one side, Russell Wilson on the other. Two mobile quarterbacks with big arms who just go out and flat out make plays for their team. Using their feet, using their arm, using their brain, whatever they got to do to make plays for their team, move the ball down the field. Russell Wilson was 21 of 28, 288 yards, 5 touchdowns, 1 interception. 5 touchdowns. Dude lit it up. Shredded that defense. Shredded it. It did not look like a Patriots defense. There was no bend but don't break mentality. It was just breaking. So, DK Metcalf had a heck of a game. Every time there was a big play down the field, it was DK Metcalf. He beat up on Stephon Gilmore. Beat him up. Now, a lot of people are saying, maybe Stephon Gilmore got exposed here. Maybe he can't handle big, tough, physical receivers. That's a valid question. That's a valid assumption. So, maybe it's true, maybe it's not. We're going to find out going forward, though. Hopefully there's a couple more big, strong, physical receivers on his list going forward. Bryan Edwards next week. Anyway. So, Russell Wilson had a great game. Cam Newton was 30 of 44, 397 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. So, all in all, this was a shootout. Now, the Patriots jumped out to a good lead early. They got a pick 6. They were up 14-0 at one point. But you're playing against Russell Wilson. You better bring it. You better keep running the ball. You better keep the ball away from him. If not, he will get back in the game. And he did. Not only did he get back in the game, he had like 21 unanswered points. To go from down 14 to up 21. I think they might have even went up 28. 28-14. They did go up 28-14. So, all in all, this game was back and forth. It seemed like it was more back and forth than the score actually told that it was. So it was a good game on both sides of the ball for the offenses. Both of these defenses got beat up. The Seahawks did make a lot more plays than the Patriots did. The Patriots were playing well in the first half. Second half, they were just getting beat the hell up. They were just getting beat up. So, but it was a great game. I had this game 28-27 Seahawks. The actual score was 35-30. It was a good game. Now, it was 35-30 with about 2 minutes left. And Cam Newton takes the Patriots down, drives down the field, gets his team all the way to the 3-yard line, and gets stopped on a quarterback run, a quarterback off-tackle run, with 3 seconds left. So, when they stopped him, that was the game. Game was over. It was a crazy play, but, hey, Seahawks wanted it more. They actually tackled him for a loss. So, they pretty much knew what they were going to run. Kudos to the Seahawks for making a play when it mattered. Defense has been rough these past 2 weeks, and I think it's just because of the lack of practice, the lack of training camp, no preseason. These guys are still in preseason game 2 right now, basically. Well, actually, these guys have played 8 quarters now, so I think next week you're going to see defenses do a little better, on their tackling, covering their assignments, whatever. I think you're going to see better defenses next week in week 3. Now that these guys have had 8 quarters to figure stuff out. That's pretty much what they get in the preseason, but they don't get as many snaps as they've gotten in the last 2 weeks. Some of these defenses have gotten, anywhere from 120 to 150 snaps already. They should be ready by next week. If they're not, then they're just not a good defense. Ravens, Texans. This game, another head scratcher. What are the Texans doing? 0-2, yes, they have played 2 very good teams. 2 very good teams. 2 teams who have not missed a beat in the offseason, that's for sure. In the draft, all the Ravens did was just reload and, add for the future. Add more pieces for the future. Offense, defense, they had a great draft. As far as the Texans, it is starting to look like, other than David Johnson playing okay so far, it is looking like they are definitely losing the DeAndre Hopkins trade. If DeAndre Hopkins only catches 60 balls this year, which is not going to happen after him having his first 2 weeks here, I think they would still lose this trade at this point, especially because they are missing some offensive firepower. Period. All the Ravens did was go out, play their normal defense, just stone cold defense, causing turnovers, tackling, stopping the run, batting balls down, getting after the quarterback. They just played their normal, number 1, number 2 defense in the league type of defense. And then on the other side of the ball, they just ran the crap out of it. I barely saw them pass the ball when I watched the game. I barely saw them pass the ball. In fact, Lamar Jackson had 18 completions on 24 attempts for 204 yards and a touchdown. They barely threw the ball. Threw the ball 25 times. They probably ran it 40 times. He probably had about 60 plays. They probably ran it like 40 times. And when you're the Houston Texans and you're in your second shootout in a row in 2 weeks, your defense is not stopping they're not stopping the run at all. That's why the Ravens just ran it down their throat. I would. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. If you can't stop the run, I gotta run it. Period. They were just, every other play was a, RPO. Every play, it seemed like, was an RPO. Texans need to get their head out of their butt. Or they're going to be looking up at their division as well. That's a pretty good division. Maybe even the Jaguars might do something this year. Houston's sitting at the bottom of that division right now. So, all in all, not looking good for the Houston Texans. On the other side, Ravens looking good. Ravens looking scary. Looking scary like they did last year. Wow. They're going to be a tough team to beat for anybody. Let's move on to one of my more exciting matchups. The Bengals and the Browns. Yes, I know, it shouldn't be that exciting. Both teams are, one team is rebuilding, the other team is in limbo. They're supposed to have already had a good team, but they underachieve. this was a good game. This was a really, really good game, actually. Thursday night football, I'm glad both of these teams got a primetime game. Joe Burrow, in his first primetime game, he showed up. He definitely showed up. He showed up to the tune of 37 out of 61 for 316 yards and 3 touchdowns. 3 touchdowns out of Joe Burrow. That's a good game. After not getting a passing touchdown in his first game, he did get a rushing touchdown. Getting a passing touchdown, you go, Joe Burrow. Now, I've noticed that the Bengals run a lot of empty sets. A lot of 5 wide receiver sets. So this must be something that Joe Burrow is really comfortable with. Something he really likes to run. Because they just open it up. They just go 5 wide receivers and no back and only 5 offensive linemen, and they just finds the open man and they sling it. I like it, actually. I've never seen a rookie quarterback come in and just have so many empty backfield sets. It's crazy. I've never seen that before. I'll have to think about it, but I don't even know if Peyton Manning did that type of stuff back in the day, his rookie year, especially his second game, with no preseason. Joe Burrow is the real deal, though. Joe Burrow took his lumps, made a few mistakes, but he looks good. Being his second game, he was the only rookie quarterback starting this year. But all in all, I think the Bengals have something. They need to get some more pieces on the other side of the ball, though. That defense needs some help. It's getting old, especially that defensive line. It's getting old. But in the future, I think in the next 2 or 3 drafts, I definitely think the Bengals could be a legit contender. Maybe not for a Super Bowl quite yet, but in the next 2 or 3 drafts, they get some pieces, they get some players, they will be set. Especially if they keep, AJ Green. If AJ Green's around or he's not really that big of a deal, but I do think going forward they have a lot of good pieces. They got Mixon for another couple of years. That offensive line is younger-ish. They keep working on that offensive line to protect him. That is one of their problems right now. They do have to try and keep him upright more. I think they do the empty sets to cause the defense to cover more of their players so they can rush less players. I think that's their strategy. All in all, I think Joe Burrow had a great game. I think he played well. 3 touchdown passes, 300 yards, 61 attempts, but still, he had a good game. Now, let's talk about Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield had 16 completions on 23 attempts, 216 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. But, yes, his 1 interception was in the red zone. Technically, they weren't in the red zone yet, but the interception was on the 2-yard line. He was trying to throw a touchdown. They threw it too late. That stuff happens. But Baker Mayfield played well. He came out. Stefanski got that zone downhill slashing offense going where you get the bootlegs going and you get the rollouts, deep passes with the crossing routes and stuff. It looked good. I liked it. They got Odell Beckham the ball. That defense played pretty well also, even though they gave up 30 points. They played pretty well. All in all, this was a good game. I liked the matchup of the number 1 picks. I liked it. I enjoyed it. So, all in all, this was a good game. I picked the game at 21-20. I really didn't think there'd be that much scoring, but I should have known with the Bengals and Browns. But anyway, I picked it at 21-20. The actual score was 35-30. You know, it was a great game. It really was. Two young hot shots going at it. You know, Baker Mayfield did not want to be outshined by the rookie. And you know what? To some fact, he kind of did. Joe Burrow had a 300-yard game. I mean, he had to throw the ball 61 times to get there, but the Bengals were behind a lot. So, but let's move on to our next game. Now, we get to talk about my Raiders. My Raiders who shocked the world on Monday Night Football. They didn't shock me. In fact, if you go back and watch my last video, I picked my Raiders to win 31-28. I wasn't far off, was I? I knew that my Raiders could score over 30 points on this defense. The only thing I was worried about is Hall of Fame Drew Brees on the other side of the ball facing my defense, which basically had a bend but don't break mentality the first week. They kind of had the same thing in this past game as well, but they made some plays. They got Drew Brees off the field on third down. It was, all in all, they made plays when it mattered. Okay, yeah. The first half of the game, they were getting the ball driven down their throat. But they figured some stuff out, and they held Drew Brees in that offense to 17 points until the fourth quarter, allowing the offense to catch up and take the lead by 14 at one point. Okay, so Derek Carr had 28 completions on 38 attempts for 282 yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 passing touchdowns. That's a hell of a game. That is balling out. Dude balled out. Okay. Drew Brees, 26 completions on 38 attempts, 312 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. So, both quarterbacks had a really good game. They really did. The 3 touchdowns stands out. The 312 yards stands out. So, both of these quarterbacks played a good game. So, I don't want to hear that, Drew Brees didn't have a good game. He had 300 yards. He had 26 completions. You know what it was? Is they were bad on third down. Because the Raiders were making plays on third down. Whether it was 3rd and 2, 3rd and 4, 3rd and 8, they were getting them off the field on third down. And bottom line, that is what helped the Raiders win this game. It definitely was not their pass rush, since they only have 1 sack in 2 weeks. They were doing pretty good on coverage. They were making tackles when it mattered. They didn't give up any big plays. That's huge. When you don't give up big plays to the Saints, that's huge. Shout out to my man Josh Jacobs, who just keeps toting the rock. Runs the rock. Okay, Josh Jacobs is a workhorse back. And now this year he's added he's added to his arsenal. He's added catching the ball out of the backfield. He had like 4 or 5 catches in this game. He's starting to hurt defenses in more than one way than just, running off tackle, run up the middle, sweep left, sweep right. No, now he's catching the ball. I think Josh Jacobs is going to catch 60 balls this year. I think he will. 4, 5, 6 a game. I think he's going to catch 60 balls this year. Might even get a tutty or 2. Might get it in the end zone. All in all, though, I'm happy with my Raiders. We're 2-0. We're moving forward. We got to go to New England next week. That's going to be a rough game. But all in all, I'm very pleased. Very pleased with the Raiders. And shout out to the Saints. They did play well. That defense played well. The Raiders just played great on offense. And they played well enough on defense. That's basically what it boils down to. They were able to run the ball in the fourth quarter and keep it away from Drew Brees. All in all, that sums it up. I couldn't be happier for my Raiders. So, I'm going to get out of here. This is Grid-ironGuy. Don't forget to subscribe. Check out some more videos. I'll see you next week. Well, later on this week, I'm going to have a matchups preview for Week 3. And let's see what happens. Got some good games coming up in Week 3. Also, Week 3 or possibly Week 4, I'm going to put out a draft video. I'm going to go through the 2021 draft, the almost too early draft, but I don't think it's that early. But look for me to put out some videos on the draft going forward. I want to do one a month at least, maybe one every 3 weeks going forward as the season progresses. Things will change. People will get hurt. Contract talks will falter. So things will change as the season goes on. Maybe somebody gets a career-ending injury. Something like that. Anything can happen. So every couple of weeks, I'm going to do a different draft video going through the draft order. The draft order will also change as the records change. So look for that. I'm going to be doing mock drafts starting next week or the week after. So look for that as well. I am Grid-ironGuy, and I am out.